Before we get started today, I want to talk to you guys about today's sponsor, Skillshare. I've been wanting to learn stuff a lot recently. You could tell by some of the fancy stuff that's been around the edges here lately. I learned a lot of this using Skillshare. It's an online learning community where regular people such as me and you can host classes and go out and learn things. Whether it's like music, working on animation, graphic design, or wanting to learn how to do some proper photography, Skillshare's got a lot to offer. If you can't tell from the beginning of the video with the new fancy logo, I've actually been taking a class myself, Animation for Graphic Designers, How to Animate a Logo by William Kessling, and it's been pretty helpful. You can actually see the fruit of my labors. Wow. Skillshare is also super affordable, especially compared to a lot of the alternatives. In fact, an annual plan is less than $10 a month, which is a pretty good deal. So Skillshare is actually offering you guys a special deal. The first 500 of you guys to click the link down in the description will get a 2-month free trial of Skillshare Premium, and you'll be able to get your creative juices flowing. So you can go learn all of the things, diversify your bonds and your skill set. So go do that. Now it's time for Animal Crossing clones. Right now.
I love Animal Crossing. Who doesn't? I would assume bad people. Y'all dug the last time I went deep diving into the big vat of Animal Crossing clones, so I figured, hey, let's do it again. With hopefully less Duck Dynasty. However, before we get started, it's come to my attention that last time I talked about this, I nailed it. We finally got a new Animal Crossing on the horizon. Yeah, that's right, I called it on purpose. Thank you all for noticing. So today I've decided I'm gonna explore the wondrous world of Animal Crossing clones once again. This time, it's Shameless. But what's an AC clone? Well, some of y'all might say that these are more Harvest Moon clones, but I like to think of them as more relaxing experiences. The life simulation games where sure you have a daily clock, sometimes sync to the real world each day, but you can really do whatever you want. You'll have big worlds with tons of NPCs you can interact with, homes you can visit, and you aren't necessarily just relegated to farming. Farming's cool and all, Harvest Moon's cool and all, but I don't need to min-max Animal Crossing. Or Duck Dynasty.
So with that out of the way, let's get this started with one of the first Animal Crossing ripoffs I ever heard about, MySims for the Wii. Just the disc today, sorry.
I don't think there's a person out there who hasn't played or at least heard of The Sims. When it comes to simulation games, Will Wright's Maxis used to always be on the cutting edge. The PC games could be found on all kinds of school computers, teaching kids about zoning and growth, or just how to summon Godzilla to destroy humanity. The Super Nintendo port of the original was a great adaptation with all kinds of cute Nintendo flair thrown in, and of course, Dr. Wright, everyone's favorite Zelda character. The success of SimCity led to a trillion spin-offs like Sim Earth, Sim Tower, Sim Copter, Sim Pay Your Taxes, and who could forget the streets of SimCity. But we're gonna talk about The Sims. As we look back in hindsight from the twisted wreckage of 2013 SimCity reboot that I didn't think was that bad, The Sims came out in 2000 and took the world by storm. It was all over the news. No one was ready for how much they would care for their fake families, the 7 expansion packs, or hanging out with Avril Lavigne. As humanity woohooed their way through The Sims 1, 2, and 3, sometime in 2007, we'd get a Wii spin-off called MySims. One that was totally like, hey, Animal Crossing, I like that. Let's do that. We already ported Sims 2 to the consoles. Let's try something new by ripping them off. Instead of having influence over what your character did, you instead controlled them directly. Instead of moving into a neighborhood to start a family and maintain your own house, you become the mayor, but not the mayor because there is a mayor, but you're also in charge of literally everyone moving into the city and building houses, so I mean, congratulations, not the mayor. So I started the game up and went ahead and designed my character the only way I knew how. Then I was tossed directly into making my own house, which I did, the only way I knew how. In MySims, you get little trickles of The Sims from time to time with how you interact with objects and characters, but it's really dumbed down and just gives you options like be nice or be mean. Turns out be mean can be as simple as making a farty face at someone or full on assaulting them. No, Naruto, be nice.
Believe it!
You basically just like go around taking requests from people to build houses, moving them in, help them build furniture by painting it with essence, which can be like your happiness or like an apple you found. You raise your town's star level, you talk to people, you tickle the mayor, rinse, repeat forever. I haven't seen Boruto yet, but I assume that this is what it's about. Building furniture one piece at a time with the Wiimote is an absolute nightmare. Who thought this was a good idea? It's a novel concept, and it might have actually worked if this controller wasn't the actual worst. Unfortunately, the sim part is extremely limited, and house building only gives you a handful of options to work with. So yeah, that's why I need 10 moai heads around my house. Well, what else can I do? I like how shamelessly Animal Crossing this is, especially right when you start. Like, a train platform, where have I seen this before? Red Dead Redemption. So it's basically Animal Crossing, except every person you meet is completely useless and you have to take care of their needs, otherwise you can't progress. Yay. I think MySims is pretty awful, but for some reason it reviewed decently and apparently did extremely well, despite the fact that the entire game is a fetch quest where you just go making furniture for people forever. But there's not just one of these games, there's not two, there's 6 of them, some with a different Nintendo DS version, all within 3 years. The EA effect.
Challenge everything.
Not all of these are Animal Crossing clones, however. MySims Racing is definitely a racing game. It's wild to think that MySims did so well that it got a lot of sequels, but then I realized this came out on the Wii a year before Animal Crossing proper, so that explains everything. Next.
So how about a new game? My Time at Portia. No box for this either, cause it's on Game Pass.
If you told me 20 years ago that the dudes who made Worms Armageddon were gonna become a super dope indie game publisher, I'd have scoffed at you. But nowadays, Team 17's throwing out indie bangers left and right. Overcooked, Yoku's Island Express, The Escapists, and one of the latest of the bunch, My Time at Portia. Is it Portia? And no, this isn't about the Animal Crossing character. Gross. This is Chinese developer Pathia Games' Kickstarter success story. Speaking of, still waiting on Project Phoenix? Hello? But hey, it turns out 150K is enough to make it out of Kickstarter, into Steam Early Access, onto the consoles, gain itself an audience on YouTube and Twitch, and finally into the big box retail stores, right next to My Riding Stable's Life with Horses. The only difference, of course, being the fact that Portia doesn't make me want to visit the emergency eye wash. Thankfully, My Time at Portia is one of the better Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon, Dark Cloud 2 clones inspired by the works of Hayao Miyazaki. Don't take my word for it, check the wiki. So you arrive in Portia when you find a letter from your pa saying he's a huge deadbeat and now he's on the other side of the world. But here, have this house, it's a total rundown piece of crap. Now start working for the city. Everyone needs you to build stuff because they're completely useless. Be my pride and joy. Pa. Oh, okay. A lot of games like this drag you through a very long tutorial where you have to meet everyone in town, check every single house, sit through long bouts of flavor text before finally being able to put down a couch you found. But Portia just kind of throws you to the wolves. Before doing anything, I found a pair of boxing gloves in a chest and started beating the crap out of everything in my sight. I do what I want. However, before too long, you gotta start doing the quests, but they flow pretty well. As the newest builder, your goal is to build stuff. Time flows in this game on its own schedule, and besides the main missions, you're able to accept jobs that have their own deadlines. However, unlike some of your Harvest Moons, there's no giant imposing time limit over your head. Seasons change, but it's not like you have 3 years till daddy's back. Instead, story missions are just tied to unlocking new areas and other things, of which there are a lot. You start off with a simple, crappy workshop, but then, like a lot of modern survival games, you find ways to automate the process more and more. You get that number go up satisfaction from like satisfactory. That's the game. That was bad. But from here, you kind of just live your life. In Portia, on top of crafting, you can also go mining for materials and relics, you can go hunting and fight monsters, you can also decorate your house in an attempt to look presentable. Why? Well, builders need love too. Not only can you become friends with the many citizens of Portia, you can also get married. But that takes time, gifts, and wooing, or sparring. I don't think that's how dating works. My Time at Portia has come a long way since its Kickstarter debut, and it continues to get support long after the early access period, which is pretty dope. If you're looking for something to scratch that social, life sim, Animal Crossing itch while tickling the crafting side of things, look no further. Or actually wait, we got a few more games.
Every few weeks, I like to look through the Nintendo Switch eShop to see all the new releases. There's a lot. Not as much as Steam. I used to do it with Steam all the time, but then it got out of hand with all of the hentai, which I could turn off.
But the Switch is a little more contained. Barely. Some days you'll hit up the new releases and there's like 20 games back to back you never heard of. That's how I found cool games like Kunai 1980X and Overlord Picross. But let's be honest, I do this because I want to see the weird and absurd stuff no one's heard of. Turns out, for better or worse, a lot of those are ports of mobile games. But the one we're going to be talking about today was brought on as a full standalone purchasable life simulation game called World Neverland Elnea Kingdom. One word, by the way. This ain't a one-off though. This is the latest in a series of games that dates all the way back to 1999. You got World Neverland, the Olrud Kingdom Stories, World Neverland 2, the Waktik Republic of Pluto. What the hell are these names? However, with Elnea Kingdom, Japanese developer Alpha Inc. finally made something that hit well enough to make it overseas. First thing I noticed about this game is that I am thick. It's like they took the front of Rouge the Bat and put it on the back. World Neverland is a life sim game that is pretty much built for the mobile device. It has really low graphical specs. It uses real money currency for a lot of the things that you can do. It's like, hey, escape to this fantasy world, make friends, start a fake family, and stop thinking about 2020 for a little bit while you're sitting on the toilet. However, they released a digital standalone version of this for the Nintendo Switch for a full ass $29.99. And I bought it on a whim. So that's what we're talking about. The people of this world age 3 times faster than in our world. 6 years old for us is 18 years old for them. I guess I'm a 6-year-old. This starts out like any old mobile game by just tossing you into the deep end of tutorial screens and holding your hand for a solid 2 hours. You're a traveler in the world of Elnea and you're looking to find yourself a place, a job, a mate, the secrets to the meaning of life. And you do that by auto-walking. Heck yeah. You don't have to, but the map is extremely confusing when you get started, and similar to a lot of old school Korean MMOs, you can just press a button and just go. Certainly not something you see often on a console that you pay money for. You become friends with people by just mashing a button on them, and like, it seems to work extremely fast, because in a single day I was able to make like 3 lifelong friends who'll take bullets for each other and meet my true love. I've been here for like 5 hours. We're gonna get married someday. That's not too fast, is it? I even ran into myself, Austin. It says I'm 20 years old, which is untrue, and also that I'm elderly, despite looking like a young and spry anime boy, so I guess this is what I'm supposed to feel like after graduating high school. Elderly. Also, for some reason, I keep calling him Diego. Tried to date myself, but you can't hook up with elderly married men, apparently, so I settled for this farmer boy named Santos. And after our first steamy date, he decided to try and sell me some souvenirs.
Yes, I did buy them. Shut up.
Besides just talking to people and living your life, there's clunky combat, gathering that consists of just pressing a bush over and over, and an extremely limited housing and cosmetic system that has DLC for some reason. I could see the appeal of World Neverland on a mobile device, since you can play it for 5 minutes and just call it a day, but as a full-priced game on the Switch, no! Especially because there's a better life sim in this video on the same console that's cheaper.
World Neverland is a game that I dug really deep to find, but the next one I'm about to talk about is one that's brought up pretty often in the Animal Crossing clone conversation. It is on a console I'm not super fond of, but it is the one that brought us Animal Crossing New Leaf. So yeah, Fantasy Life. Vita means life.
Level 5 doesn't get enough respect. Considering back in the day they were responsible for amazing classics like Dark Cloud 1 and 2, Dragon Quest 8, Rogue Galaxy, the Professor Layton series, and both of the lovable Ni no Kunis, it's kinda odd to see that they've turned into a yokai watch factory. I, for one, will never let the cancellation of the Xbox original MMORPG, True Fantasy Live Online, go. I will never forget you. However, I don't think it would be too far-fetched to say that a few ideas from this made its way all the way into the 3DS exclusive Fantasy Life. Now, the 3DS has always been kind of a migraine to me. The system feels weird in my hands, the resolution is so low I have a hard time looking at the screen for too long even with 3D off. I don't like playing games portably these days anyway, so even though I considered myself a level 5 fanboy at a certain point, Fantasy Life just slipped through the cracks.
But I sure wish somebody told me to play this 6 years ago instead of like in 2020. Thanks for nothing.
If you can't tell, Animal Crossing clones come in a variety of flavors. Some of them have you working as a slave for some random town, like Tom Nook. Others have you trying to make a big name for yourself. Fantasy Life decided, hey, let's take a life sim, put a central plot, JRPG classes, leveling, gathering, crafting, cosmetics in it, maybe some online multiplayer for fun, and call it a day. No big deal, just gonna sit here and be one of the best games on the 3DS. The main hook for Fantasy Life is that you're able to live out your life however you want. When you boot up the game, you'll notice you'll have a selection of 12 lives you can pick from. There's combat, gathering, and crafting lives such as Paladin, Mercenary, Alchemist, Woodcutter, Weaver, and Cook. Once you pick one and get started, you'll be able to change into any of them by hitting up the guild. Unfortunately, if you want to actually progress through the plot, you'll need to grab a couple of these and for sure at least one combat job. Yeah, every class can use daggers and do a little stabby stab, but that's not gonna help much against bosses. So you can't just cut down trees all day. You have to study the blade, or like the bow. You got choices. Fantasy Life has chapter-based progression directly tied to the story, so it isn't as open-ended as your normal life sim, but it does carry a lot of the same qualities. You can make friends, you have to make the most of your days, you gotta mash A to chop the carrot. At a certain point, you might find yourself getting lost gathering wood to build furniture for a house, and that's the kind of silly, harmless fun that I think falls right into the Animal Crossing pocket. It treads that line of relaxing and exciting, even if the combat is extremely basic, and I dig it. However, I'm a fan of any game that'll let me make a little gremlin. I am beautiful. Also, y'all ever like play a game and it's like, wow, this music sure is good. Then you Google it, it's like, oh hey, Nobuo Uematsu here, what up? Just casually writing masterpieces, here you go, see you later. Fantasy Life has the humorous level 5 wit and charm, and it's more than worthy of having that good old level 5 logo on it. As far as Animal Crossing clones go, this is a big yes, a big yes. If you missed this one and need a 3DS game to play, I highly recommend it. That or Animal Crossing, but you probably already did that. Also, this is my kitty cat. I love him.
Well, we've reached the apex, the last game of the video. Last time, we went out with kind of a bang. We had Duck Dynasty on the 3DS, the best game of last decade, so I have to top it this time, I think. I dove pretty deep through the annals of licensed schlock in order to bring you another classic for the ages, and now I bequeath upon you iCarly 2. I did not mean to rhyme there.
Rejoice, iCarly fans, your sequel has finally arrived. Even if it kind of looks like No Mercy. Weirdly enough, iCarly 2 was probably my most requested Animal Crossing clone from our last time here, with some of y'all calling me a coward for not covering it. Yeah, well, screw you, I'm gonna do it. iCarly came out when I was a 17-year-old dude, so I'm not quite sure a Nickelodeon TV show about two little girls trying to become YouTubers in 2007 was something that was my demographic. However, the show regularly got ratings equal to or better than the WWE for the entirety of its run, so who am I to judge the power of children's television? So I guess there was an iCarly 1, considering 2 exists, and iJoin the Clique came out on the Wii and DS. I've never seen a copy of iCarly 2 on the DS in the wild, and I assume it's gonna be rare one of these days considering it's apparently a prime target for people melting down copies of games for gold. Apparently that's the thing people do. 1,200 pounds of iCarly, here you go.
However, based on all the gameplay videos I've seen, the DS and the Wii versions of the game are practically the same, so we're gonna be looking at this bad boy. God help us.
So we start with the most wonderful of title screens before making our character, answering a few questions, and then, what kind of room is this? Am I selling weed? Is this what iCarly's about? Turns out it's just generated based on your answers, but I wasn't aware that liking the color green and enjoying books and computers meant that I was a musky, dank-smelling teenager. iCarly 2 is, as the name suggests, just trying to iJoin the Clique. You aren't just a fan of Carly and Sam's webisodes, you're a super fan. You moved into this house right next to the same school they go to, you become friends with them, and then they're like, hey, look at this fan, he's such a step below us, this fan, let's put him to work. And in exchange, you get to add them on Facebook. I will cherish this. You gotta decorate the iCarly stage with furniture you find and move it around Animal Crossing style before playing a game of Peggle to create a webisode for the internet. This typically just entails pressing buttons and making the girls do specific activities like high-fiving, random dancing, or eating this is cursed. Very similar to Animal Crossing and more to the point, Duck Dynasty, you embark on an eternal series of fetch quests where people will give you furniture and clothes in return for your manual labor. Sometimes it's a new skirt, other times it's a portal to the moon. Oh yeah, also all the NPCs sound like this. For some reason, they decided to give all the TV show characters real voices, but random NPCs have weird, I don't know, like I reversed the footage and it wasn't like they were saying awful things. It's like they wanted to do the Animal Crossing thing where they speak like, but instead it's like I'm having a curse placed upon me. One where you'll start random dancing with NPCs and it's unskippable every time. Yo, is that Yukiko? After talking to people and showing basically everyone how to do really awful looking dances, they add you on In Your Face pages, the canonical in-universe equivalent of Facebook, and you can now view their statuses. Thankfully no one is saying completely awful things, though they do talk about the new kid constantly. Or Limp Bizkit. Just one of those days! I don't know anything about the show besides something about feet, and I'm not really sure that explains why it started raining apples for multiple days, but the game did teach me a valuable lesson. If you're in a position of social power, in this case an online creator, don't take advantage of your fans. They might just cover you in bees. iCarly 2, iJoin the Clique has become a meme over time, with its speedrunning community becoming more and more active, and including a random dancing percentage where you just try to get an NPC to dance with you, and frankly, I see this going places. Careers could be built on this. I might get into it myself. So, the next time someone asks you, if iCarly's so good, why isn't there iCarly 2? You'll know what to do.
And there we go, Animal Crossing Clones Part 2 in the bag. Now, I enjoy playing these games. I find it really relaxing for a change, so I'm thinking before New Horizons comes out, I might actually give another one of these a go. But this time, I'm gonna make a little call, considering 14 months ago, I did a pretty good job. So, the next Animal Crossing will be called Animal Crossing Suikoden 6. Think that'll work?
Thank you all so much for watching. Special Patreon shout out to Brandon Howell, Chris Shelton, Christopher Olivia, Cliff Pro, Donald Dowdy, David Molnar, Eli Shane Staufenecker, Jay Roos, Jane Jones, Jacoby Fitzpatrick, Josh Garbage Lord, Legend Gary, Nitron, Plasma Phoenix, and Vlad Lust. Thank you very much for your contributions to the channel. New year, new me. Although this is technically the second video of the year, but we're done with our break. We're back. We got some new assets. We got a bunch of new stuff coming. We got another video coming in like a couple days. Love you, bye.